Week 2 of Friday Night Insights. I'm here again with Wes Hewitt and Ben Diggle. Week 2 in area high school football means two things to me. That the Mid-Illini starts, and boy does it ever. And the picks are hard because you try not to overreact to week 1. It might be harder than last week. We start, as we said we would do last week, with surprises, and we got a little something to go on. What did you see out there, Wes?
Saw some good things from Notre Dame. They lost their game 27-25 to Limestone, but I don't know if I've ever seen a Notre Dame team play as hard or as consistently over four quarters as I did last Friday. They were tough. They got off the line of scrimmage. They didn't give up. I don't want to say kids don't quit per se, but over the last few years, it really seemed like the confidence was lacking in a program that sort of is known for its toughness, and I think that toughness is back. They were down 21-7 in the third quarter against Limestone, brought it back, a 2-point conversion from tying it, a field goal in the air to win it. I think Notre Dame's on the right track.
The field goal was close, no?
It wasn't. A kid by the name of Matt Johnston at Limestone got his hand on it. It was from 37 yards or so, which is a tough kick. It really wasn't a gimme. But to even get to the point where they had a shot I think if the game lasted another minute and a half, they win the game.
What about you, Mr. Little Schools?
I've got to go with DMAC Chiefs. They came out last week and put a hurting on El Paso Goodley. They led 22-2 at one point, ran for, I think, 377 yards as a team. I was out in Mackinac today to do a little story for tomorrow's paper, and they've got some confidence. I think we might be seeing a bit of a DMAC resurgence after a couple of down years.
I've been here since 95, and I think DMAC averages 377 yards rushing in that amount of time. But you're right. They were off for a little while, and it's good to have them back. And we go to the picks. What about those Irish? This time they're up at IVC in the Tim Hines game.
I see a really tough matchup. It's two teams that are sort of similar in their styles. They're both tough. Tim Hines sort of brought that Irish mentality to IVC, and they've had a renaissance the last couple of years. But I think the balance of IVC being able to pass it and throw it as opposed to what Notre Dame can just basically a run team. I like IVC in a close game.
Well, I think Steve Ashelman said it best. I mean, this is the biggest opener in Chile since 77, he said. We can't exactly pinpoint what happened in 77, but it sounds good.
I was born in 77.
I had to translate Steve Ashelman's Ash. Better known as,
I think
my neighbor Ash.
Yeah.
I
think the Grigos pull one out in a close one.
Grigos, okay. One of at least 4 in a row, unless I'm missing one, of our beloved Mid-State 6 against the NCIC. Let's roll through the others, and then we'll touch on Richwood's the only Mid-State 16 that isn't doing that, and then we'll get into these Mid-Illini Conference games. Streeter comes to Woodruff.
Woodruff in a close one.
I'm going to go with Woodruff as well in a close one.
Peoria High is up at Rock Falls, that football power Rock Falls.
Rock Falls,
that's baseball power, by the way. Sorry.
Rock Falls is going to win it, but Central again for the second straight week is going to surprise some people.
I was just flat out amazed that Rock Falls committed that many penalties last week.
Yeah.
Almost as many penalties they scored points. So if they don't cut that back, Central might get them, but Rock Falls will pull that out, I think.
And the Manual Rams return to the town where they won a sectional last year in small school basketball.
Indeed.
Princeton, with Ohio tacked on as a co-op now in Princeton, which is new to me. Who wins?
Manual by 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
I'm going to also go with Manual, but Princeton showed a lot of promise last week. They had a couple touchdowns called back that would have put them over the top against Rockridge. So it's kind of where they stand.
All right, Galesburg's at Richwoods. For the other Mid-State 6 game, not counting QND, who we will only pick when they play our people. What do we see the streaks at the Knights?
Richwoods, it's going to be a game that's a lot wider margin than it looks. It only been 28-14, 28-7, but it's a lot very similar to the Pekin game. But Richwoods is just grinding down on the ground as usual.
I felt bad. I reneged on that Galesburg pick last week, and then that kid that I talked about goes out and runs for 220 yards or something.
208, yeah.
208. So
Yes.
I'm still gonna pick against the Streaks here and take the Knights, but I was impressed with the Streaks opening.
Which was an overtime loss to Dunlap,
right.
21-20 in OT. So that's a segue in this business now that we're broadcasters. Dunlap, they're at Morton. beautiful MI game to open.
Yeah, it's a nice game. I kind of like Dunlap in this one, only because I think a game like last week where you sort of go into a place and you sort of let an opponent, I think, that's a little lesser than you hang with you, it gets the juices flowing a little bit. And a game like Morton is always close. In fact, the last 2 years have been 1-point games, 7-6 and 21-20, I believe, or 22-21 the last 2 years. Dunlap in a close one, just because, for the sake of consistency, I'll go 19-18 Dunlap.
Okay.
I think Morton's probably a little fatigued from going to Sterling last week and hanging with them. So I'm going to go with Dunlap also in a close one, though. I think I've got it 27-21. So
I'm going to chime in and say Morton was a surprise to me last week and a good one. Closer to that Sterling team than they were given credit for, and then it meets the eye. You know, I don't remember the exact details. They outscored them in the second half. It really hung around. The big game, if Dunlap Morton isn't it, because it isn't, maybe Washington at Metamora.
Washington Metamora. It's a game that the Washington people are really excited about. Last year, Metamora came into Washington and almost got beat. They have a big Mid-Atlantic Conference winning streak going. I believe it's up to 28 now. And Washington feels like it can come in and end it. I don't think they can. Metamora last week showed that maybe they aren't quite as down as people thought they were, and shutting down a Riverside Brookfield team.
Who thought they were?
There's talk. Trust me, the Metamora people are a little harder on their birds.
All right.
Than they should be. I like Metamora by 3 touchdowns plus.
That big?
yeah, I think so too. I still think we need to come up with a name for this game, though, other than the Woodford County Grudge match that we so poorly named it a couple of years ago.
Considering I don't live in Woodford County and
Yeah.
I live right by Washington High School.
I'd vote for the Blacktop battle, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was trying to play off that road too, but I guess Blacktop's all we got. EP's at Canton.
East Peoria.
I'm going to go with EP as well. I think this is a game they need to win if they're going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Well, does that make you win? Pekin at Limestone.
I'm sorry. Interrupting.
No, you go.
I like Limestone in this one. In a close one, again.
Another game that could have a name, by the way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but doesn't, so here we go.
Yeah, but we got to work on that. Maybe we
Yeah.
can all get together one night. We'll take
And here's
suggestions
Woodruff
via
and
email.
EP with a name.
Yeah.
Woodruff and EP comes with a name. Okay.
I haven't seen Pekin yet, so I don't know much about them, but I found it interesting they still threw the ball last week, which
Yes.
kind of shocked me. I figured,
It's a West Coast thing. I think that it goes by opponent.
Okay.
We need a pick.
We're going to go with Limestone.
Okay, your game of the week is out a bit. Illini West at Bushnell, Prairie City Avon.
Yeah, that's way out there. That's two teams that are favored to both win their divisions of the West Prairie Trail. I think you're going to see Illini West coming on top in this one, probably by at least 2 scores. But BPC was pretty impressive last week, very balanced. Logan Lovejoy pulled in some nice passes from Luke Tolley.
And the number one rule of this seat right here, when you're the big school rider, you never pick against Carthage. That's the way I always
Probably a wise choice.
Yeah, which is Illini West now. Now, we almost forgot last week's records. They're very similar. West by 1 game, 31-6. 31-6, and Ben was 30-7. You know those picks are in the paper. On Friday morning, we only do highlights. Here, not time to talk about 37 games every week. So, and part of what we do, I got cut off last week. You got to trust me that I said Canton. We do one surefire pick. You got to pick and survive. You can't take Canton because you did, nor can I. And you can't take Limestone because you escaped by the pig skin of your skinny teeth or something. But 1 game on the board. Who wins?
Limestone this week.
Jeez.
Richwoods.
Richwood sounds good. Gotta love those streaks. But we're going with Richwoods as well. Remember the snap every Friday night when we're done. 10 more gamers and many more games in the Saturday morning paper all the time. We have photos, names, box scores like nobody's business the next 2 days in the paper and also on pjstar.com or whatever it's called. Thanks. See you next week.